You look good, Doc. You look good. Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and face of Dr. Olabintan, CEO, founder, Livingspring Family Medical Center here in the awesome city of Texas. And I'm happy to be here again to have another discussion, hopes of helping patients live long and well. And I'm happy to bring back the one and the only Dr. Catherine Toomer. Thank you for
No.
coming, Doc. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Now, before I forget, those who are watching live, please hashtag replay. Please hashtag replay. And so today we're talking about the topic, Doc. Relax a little. It's the holidays. How do I keep my weight loss goals though? And I'm excited to have you on. The last time you were on, I think it was about this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of gems were dropped. So I'm really excited at the topics we're going to have or the conversation we're going to have today. Now, that being said, please could you introduce yourself to our viewers? Who are you and what do you do, Doc?
All right. I am Dr. Catherine Toomer. I am a family medicine and community health physician and founder of Health, Wellness, and Weight Loss Centers, where I maximize health and wellness through weight loss and optimize weight loss through very targeted health and wellness measures. And those who are overwhelmed and just feel like they're at the end of the rope and that nothing else has worked, I find the cause of why they're gaining weight and we go after it.
So you go the root cause.
Yes, I go the root cause, and I do that one-on-one through coaching, and also I do it one-on-one, and I have a group online group coaching as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And for those of you who already peaked, your interest already peaked, we will share that information towards the end of the live. So no worries. Now, why do you do what you do? Why? I know you're a family physician. Like, how did you get to this niche? What is there a story behind it?
Absolutely. I became the doctor I needed when I was 100 pounds heavier. I was an
Mm.
insulin dependent diabetic, and a month after my daughter was born, I was diagnosed with peripartum cardiomyopathy, which is heart failure. I went into pregnancy related heart failure,
Mm.
and I was given a 50% chance of living 5 years. My heart was only working at about 15% of what it should have been. And having, being a doctor, I knew what that meant. I had a 2.5-year-old and a newborn, and I wanted to see them grow up, and I was being told I may not. So I decided that I needed help. I definitely needed help. And so my heart was doing what it was going to do, and I knew there was nothing much I could do about that other than just, follow what my doctors prescribed and what they told me to do. But so I knew if I reduced my size, I would reduce the amount of work my heart had to do.
Mm. Mm.
So I knew that insulin also, even though it helps with diabetes, it also causes weight gain. And so I said, okay, well, I need to get off insulin. The best way to do that is to lose weight, because I knew my obesity was causing a lot of what was happening with my diabetes. But when I went to get help, no one would help me. They told me I was too high risk, and they just kind of put me off. So what I did was create my own program. And I created my own program. I lost 60 pounds initially, was taken off insulin because I had gotten to a point where I didn't need it anymore. But the most important thing I did is that I treated my depression first. I was severely depressed. And I realized that when I couldn't get myself motivated to do all the things I needed to do, and I understood it, but I think there was something blocking, and it was depression. So I treated my depression. I was able to create my own program. I was able to get better. And then about 20 years later, now 21 years later, I was actually put on a medication to help my heart. It so happens that medication is a diabetes medication, but it's also a weight loss medication. So I actually dropped another 40 pounds. So a total now is 100 pounds, which, I hadn't anticipated. And so what I do now is I just combine what's called a biopsychosocial approach. I take someone's biology, their psychology, and their sociology, because whatever we do, it has to fit into our families, our work, our friendships. And I created a program that I now use because I couldn't do it in a clinical setting. Um, I'm a community health physician, and anyone in community health knows we get 15 minutes, and you can't help change. You can change medical lives in 15 minutes, but you have to do multiple 15 minutes. And I like spending a lot of time talking to people. And so I created my own program. I created my own office, my own center, so that I could do this full time.
Wow. Wow. I've heard your story before, but each time it's told, there's a different angle to it. Realizing that there was also an emotional side to why you were gaining weight,
Hmm.
and treating that and seeing the pounds fall off, and um, not taking the final decision the doctors made concerning you as the final um,
Hmm.
diagnosis for you, but actually seeking your way out. Very, 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 very empowering. Um, yes, very, very empowering. And when you share that story with patients, you also kind of tell them that you have a big part to play in this too,
Hmm.
right? So this is big. This is big. Wow. All right. So my first question to you is this: we're talking holidays, doc,
Hmm.
and I sometimes, I'll be honest with you, the conversations get a little sour. Sometimes like, doc, man, it's the holidays. Food is part of celebrating. So
Yes.
when we're talking healthier eating, when we're talking maintaining weight loss goals through the holidays, shouldn't there be an exception? What would you say someone who's asking, is it possible to keep weight off even through the holidays? Like, is that realistic? What would you say?
Hmm. Not only is it possible to keep it off, it's possible to lose it during the holidays. I did. And I've kept it off now for 21 years. And but the and I like food. One of the I just always tell people, when I first started my journey, which is ongoing, it never stops. But when I was first started my
Oh
journey,
dear.
the first thing I realized is when it comes to food, I have no discipline and I have no willpower. I like food. I like to eat. It's my emotional release. When people talk about emotional eating, it's very, very true. We all emotionally eat. Thanksgiving is emotional eating. Our birthdays are emotional eating. We have cake for that day. Those type of things. And so, what I did was I realized that this was long before we knew about ketogenic diets and all the rest. But I realized very quickly that protein is one of the most important parts of maintaining losing weight and maintaining it. And so what I do during the holidays is I focus on the protein. Turkey is a large part of Thanksgiving dinner. It's a huge bit of protein, and we can use that as a medication, so to speak, to help maintain weight and even lose weight while still eating all the things you want for Thanksgiving.
Focus on the protein.
Hmm.
That's big, because the turkey meat, that's a big Thanksgiving thing. So focus on
Hmm.
the protein. Why the protein though, doc? Why?
Because our body makes does not make fat from protein unless you eat way too much of it. And most of us who are overweight, anyone who's ever been overweight can tell you they don't eat a lot. It's not about how much we eat. It's usually the combination, or it's our body's reaction to what we eat. And our body reacts to carbohydrates to make fat. Our body takes protein and makes muscle and helps the structures of our body.
Hmm.
So, and it's also a natural appetite suppressant. And so when you focus on the protein, what it does is it gives your body and your brain something to focus on so that you can eat all the goodies behind it. And your body then takes those goodies and turns them into fuel rather than to fat.
Wow. I like that. It gives your brain something to focus on, like a distraction, like a healthy distraction.
Essentially.
Ah, I love it. All right. So you've mentioned one tip. So what are three other tips to keep the weight off during the holidays? So we said
Mhm.
focus on the protein. What are three other tips you would say, Doc?
What I would other say is try to control the menu as much as possible, first of all. If it's at your house, you have full control. If it's someone else's house, then of course, still again, focus on the protein. Almost always, there's charcuterie boards with the cheese and the smoked meats and all those things. Those are all protein. None of the you don't have to worry about carbohydrates and those things. So you kind of load up on those. But the biggest tip I would say: do not go anywhere hungry.
Uh,
Drink lots of water before you go. You can also have, what I do, because I like to eat when I go places. So rather than just to completely suppress my appetite, I may drink a protein shake. so that my body's already got that protein in there. So if I want to, if I go there and I see, my weakness, which is pecan pies, I'll have a little bit, and but I'll eat protein right before. So this is the tip: eat protein before eating anything else. First off, drink water before eating anything else, and don't go anywhere hungry. It's easier to control your eating when you're not hungry. You don't have to eat what's there. Of course, you want to eat what's there just because socially, this is where the social part comes in. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. If someone spent a lot of time and effort into providing a meal, into providing, a nice spread for you or others at a party, you want to be able to let them see that you are enjoying that effort. But you can do it in a way so that they are happy and your body's happy also. And that's just looking for the protein, looking for the healthy fats and proteins. Try to avoid the carbohydrates right off the bat. Now, you can still have them, but just don't have them first.
Just don't have them first. Now, I have someone who's watching who's like, well, doc, I want to throw a superb party. And now,
Mm-hmm.
now you're telling me, I'm the one in control. Like, what are tips? Like, how do you still make it like practical tips? Like, I'm the one
Mm-hmm.
hosting, and people are looking forward to eating all my food, the sugar included.
Mm-hmm.
You say, well, navigate those waters.
Now, unfortunately, I missed the last part of that. My froze, and you froze at the last part of that question. I missed it.
I was like, how do you help someone navigate those waters? Like, I want to,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So what you do when you have what I call is deconstruct meals or deconstruct items. So instead of having things that are like casseroles where everything's combined and you can't really pick out the vegetables or the vegetables or the you can't remove the carbohydrates because they're mixed in with everything else. So it's hard to control. So what you do is you deconstruct it. So if you want to have, if it's like a snack based party, then you make sure that the crackers and the breads and the things are not incorporated into any items. They're separate. So then you can have all the other things that are separate, like the cheeses and the meats and the nuts and the spreads and all those things separate, so that you can. And I always do this 2 to 1. Whatever carbohydrates you have, make sure that the protein and the healthy fat is 2 times the
Mm.
amount of the carbohydrates. So you don't have to measure it. You don't have to measure calories. You just look at your plate. You look at your plate and you're like, okay, I want those crackers. I'm going to eat them. But now what I'm going to do is add 2 times that amount in meat and spreads and the nice little cheeses with the nuts around it. Those type of things. If it's a meal, you can do the exact same thing. I love macaroni and cheese. I'm not giving up my macaroni and cheese. I love sometimes scalloped potatoes with the cheesy and so those things are quite nice because it's not all carbohydrates. You got cheese, you got cream, and you got all that stuff in there. So what I'll do is, on my plate, the first thing I do is eat actually protein and vegetables first, just so that I'm not going into the meal really hungry, because it's hard to have control when you're really, really hungry. And then my second plate is when I get all my goodies, my macaroni and cheese, my all that. It's like I still keep it, little bits of everything. And then whatever amount it comes out to, I just make sure that my vegetables and meat and everything else is twice the amount of that.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I have someone who's here, who's watching, who says, Doc, all of this sound good, but I'm working through the holidays. And
Okay.
so everyone is feasting. When I come home, it's my time to de-stress, and food is a big part of it. So usually I lay a big table before me,
Hmm.
um, and I eat, and I seem to keep eating, and I seem to keep eating.
Okay.
Um, what would you advise that one person who's saying that I think I have an issue with overeating? Like I
Hmm.
go past when I'm full.
Okay.
Um, what would you say to that person?
What I would say to that person is find out the cause that's driving your appetite. We always assume it's stress. Well, we say it's stress, and sometimes it is stress, but it's not the stress. It's what the stress does to our body that then drives our appetite. What stress does is it drives our blood sugar up,
Mm,
and it makes our body resistant to bringing that blood sugar down. It makes us insulin resistant. That combination actually goes to the brain to parts of the brain that drive our appetite and says, eat and eat and eat. And of course, we go after the carbohydrates first because that's our brain's drug, and our brain's like, give me my drug first. So we'll eat the carbohydrates, we'll then drive up our blood sugar even higher, and it starts this vicious cycle, and it's hard to break. But the underlying cause is not you. It's not just your stress, it's what your stress does to your body. And if you have an underlying insulin resistance already, it simply makes it worse. So if you're someone who's eating and eating and eating and you can't stop, there's a cause. It's not your willpower, it's not your discipline. Your brain is having you do it, and you need to find out why. And sometimes it takes treatment to stop it. And when I say treatment, I don't mean appetite suppressants, like not Adipex or, phentermine and all that. What I'm talking about are the diabetic medications that we have found help with weight loss, even in non-diabetics, mainly because it goes after the cause of our weight gain. It goes after the cause of our appetite. It goes after the cause. And that's, glucose dysregulation or blood sugar regulation. And it helps with that. And that's what helps with all the rest.
I love what you do, Doc. And for anyone who's watching who feels that they've struggled and they've seen different doctors, and everyone seems to kind of throw in the towel and say, hey, you're lost cause. I want you to be encouraged and know that there are other options. You have to be just like Dr. Toomer did many years ago. You have to advocate for your own care. And no, you don't have to be a doctor to do that. You just have to have a fight for a reason to live, and connect yourself with people who can help you. Now, with that being said, Doc, where can people find you?
So people can find me. The best way to people find me is on my website, which is drtoomer.com, which is written, I guess, right there. And on there, there's a message. There's a place you can contact. You can send me a message. You just contact me and just say what you'd like, why you're contacting me. And then also on my website is information about my various programs. I'm actually opened up my group program right now. It's a year-long program. Well, actually, it starts as a year, but you can continue on afterwards if you'd like. And what it is me going through step by step through my program, adding information about all the biopsychosocial approaches to weight loss, including how to get tested, for the things that may be going on, how to talk to your physician, what tests to ask for, what medications are out there that may be appropriate for you, how to exercise if it's appropriate. Notice I said if, not when, because sometimes actually exercise can make the whole process worse. There's a time and place for exercise, and sometimes it's not right at the beginning. And then also all the things that cause stress, I address. Finances. We have a financial advisor, hypnotist, someone who does meditation, yoga, even sexual health. All of that is addressed because the whole person has to be addressed. Otherwise, one part is going to fall away if we don't address all of us.
All the stress you address.
Yes. I like that, actually.
I like that.
I address all the stress.
Wow. This is good. I'm glad to some of the things that you said, and I'm happy for the tips that you've pointed out. Many of them, especially regarding protein. So already we've put your website on there as well, and how to contact you so people can reach out to you to get access to this program. Thank you so much, Dr. Toomer, for coming. As always, it's a pleasure seeing you and having conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. All right. For those who are watching, thank you for watching. Please, by all means, caring is sharing. So please share this with those who could find this useful. Feel free to tag them during the comments as well. Who knows, you can save quite a number of lives by sharing this information. So thank you. And on that note, if you or anyone is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and a passionate family physician, I am she in the Mansfield, Texas area. Okay? Thank you so much, Doc. Nice.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.